Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to P&K, where we stream the moon. We stream the moon when it's not cloudy. P&K. Welcome. Guys, let me know if the volume's all right on both of us. If I need to bring Mark up or Mark down, or me down.
P&K.
We're on the same channel, so it should be just about the same as me and Bill were the other night. Oh, there we go. Okay. See, Leviathan, he's been a constant person these last 2 weeks or so. Leviathan, I don't think you've ever gotten a chance to talk to Mark, but on with me, after 3 months, finally, is Mark D'Antonio.
Hey.
Hello, Mark.
Hello. How's it going?
We have a lot of new faces that have been coming in here to the streams lately. So if anybody doesn't know, Mark D'Antonio, he is MUFON's lead analyst, video and photo analyst. You can also see him on NASA's Unexplained Files and One on Earth and Aliens on the Moon and all those good shows. And of course, you can also hear him on KGRA radio Sunday nights 8 to 10.
Well, you got it down.
Yeah. I know your history, man.
Man, that's good, man. That's good. Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Among many, many other things, one of them, which is my favorite part about Mr. D'Antonio, is he is a professional. Yeah, see? There, I already messed it up. He's a professional, degreed astronomer, specializing in exoplanets. So if you have any questions, he is the man to ask.
Yeah, en Astronomy.
Yep. So, once again, let me know how our volumes are.
Yeah, I just got back from the UFO Congress. Monday, and I was there from the 4th of September, and actually 3rd, and on the 2nd, I got home from Norway after 2 weeks.
Yeah, dude, you have been so busy lately.
Like, it's been crazy.
And then the nights that I was thinking about, like, oh, maybe I'll have Mark on tonight. Because once again, for anybody who doesn't know, I try to have Mark on once a month. Because he is a lot better at answering, like, specific questions about astronomy, about space, about the grass growing, about, a rock in your backyard. He's the person to ask. Okay, let's just say I don't have the patience for a lot of that, but Mark does. And that's what makes him special, and that's why I have him on.
Special.
Hey, at least I admit it, right?
See, Leviathan says it, professioner.
Professioner, yep. Professioner.
Yep.
And I hope everybody's all right in the chat tonight that's coming in, trickling in slowly. Wednesday nights are usually busy nights here. I'm getting really good at the clickbait thumbnails. Yeah. It's not really clickbait because that was a shot that we had a nice ISIS transit. ISIS. Yeah. Oh my, terrorists in space. ISS transit.
Yeah?
Yeah. That's what that arrow is pointing to if anybody didn't know.
You got an ISS transit?
Yeah. Yeah, that was years ago, though. So, okay, last time I see Mark was at Pine Bush. And then from there, you left for Norway 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
I left for Norway on August 14th.
On August 14th.
And I came home August 31st.
And what exactly did you do in Norway? What was the purpose of it?
The weirdest thing, first of all, when I got there, I met up with Ket Thorvaldsen, who is the other half of the New Sciences tour. It's a new tour that we both put together. It'll have its first American appearance coming up at the next UFO MegaCon in Laughlin, I believe. And it might be some sooner, but that's going to be a good one. That'll be the first one we're actually doing our joint presentation. We're both going to be talking together. And what I did over there was I talked about the failures of astronomy, where we know the science works and where we know it does not, and how modern science typically will try to catalog or put something in a box it doesn't belong in, just to get rid of it, basically.
Just to give it a place, just to give it a home.
Just to give it a place, that's right. And even though it doesn't belong there, it goes there anyway, and that's kind of a problem for me. So, that said...
That has been a problem with you ever since I've known you.
Yeah.
You have said that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Like all stuff they can't, like they think they can explain or they think they know the answer to, kind of goes sits in a box as a probable explanation, but not scientifically proven.
Correct. And I would rather have an explanation that makes scientific sense than to than to make it something that I just guess at and just say, just for the heck of it, let's call it this.
So is it fair to say, like this, these talks that you're doing with Ket, is it fair to say where science and, I don't want to say really spiritual, but where science and, it's where it meets.
And alternative science meet.
Yeah, yeah.
The alternative science might be future science, Keith. I'm well aware that it may not be, and I'm okay with that. But it might not be. It might not be the case that it's going to remain alternative science, because the things that were fringe 10 years ago are now mainstream.
Yeah.
Well,
look at 30 years ago.
Important. Like, it's always been fringe science to believe that there were parallel universes until we measured the amount of mass that created the Big Bang. Yeah. And, we have 73% is dark energy, 23% is dark matter, and 4% is the universe we know. And of that 4%, that's like the baryonic matter, like the matter that's, the protons, neutrons, muons, gluons, and so ons.
Right.
Okay. That's the stuff we know, the 4%. And of that, 2% is missing. We can't find it. And that's not enough to have created it's not enough to have created the Big Bang. So that started some theories about whether what really happened was that there was a little spurt off of other bangs, and that we were the little spurt, meaning there were multiple universes spawned at the same time. And that brought up the concept of parallel universes for the first time in mainstream science. And now it's actually on the table as a very plausible, very real possibility. And hello to my co-host on Skyter Radio, Amanda.
Yes,
Danny
hello,
Fan
Amanda.
1. How you doing?
I was reading, this was probably about a week or two ago, and we bring up the whole fringe science stuff, and I was reading a paper that was probably written, I'm going to say it's probably 43 years ago, maybe. And this astronomer was telling, basically in his paper how they would never be able to actually image a black hole. There you go. And basically all the stuff and the reasons why, and because it's devoid of light and stuff like that. And look where we are in 2019.
That's correct. We've imaged the black hole, and we were able to do it using the entire Earth as a telescope. Yeah. Something that's called the Event Horizon Telescope. And I actually spoke about that rather extensively in Norway. That was one of the concepts I used actually to lead into my talk, because I thought that if we could show where places where science does work, we could better understand how it doesn't work. And where it does work is in that imaging of the black hole, because in that imagery we see an exact result as predicted by Einstein's theory of relativity. Yeah. Okay, the exact result, and that means that we can get it right. Yeah. We can get it right.
And just before that, with the detection of gravitational waves through the LIGO and WIGO experiments. It almost like it fell in natural progression from having the gravitational waves, because they said that was most likely formed by two black holes coming together, correct?
Actually merging, yeah.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden being able to image, what was that, about a year later, I guess? Being able to image a black hole.
Think about this, Keith. When two black holes collided and merged, right? If space was empty, we would never see a thing.
Right.
I mean, the light could come through, sure. But because that radiation is beaming out, right? Mm-hmm. But why did we see gravitational ripples, like pebbles dropping in water? Why did we see ripples? Now, they weren't actual ripples like in water, of course, but they were ripples in a medium. That is, a medium like air, like water. Okay, sound does the same thing in air. Okay, it ripples, but we just don't see them. Mm-hmm. And it's a transverse wave, but in water, we see the ripples spreading out from the source. Well, that's just what happened with the black holes, and when they collided, we saw ripples in what's called space-time, or the fabric of space. What this shows you is that there is something there that can transmit the ripples. There's a medium, you see, and that's another thing I talk about. It's like it's like saying that space acts like other mediums, although different, but it's still a medium in itself.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to check out the tried landing of the Indian lander?
I did.
And a lot of people were like, a lot of people came on and were kind of giving them crap for it. I'm like, man, that mission is in no way a failure. That orbiter is still up there and it's still doing its mission.
That's right.
But they're close. They're real close.
Well, they haven't made contact with the lander, but it doesn't mean it won't, right? Unless they declared it lost. I haven't seen the stuff from like earlier today.
Right.
But yeah, that's just incredible. And here's the other thing. It won't be long before there will be civilians that are sending missions to the moon.
Yeah.
And I mean that. You don't have to be a state, you don't have to be a country to send a mission to the moon.
Well, there was that time our friend Dave Schock there, they were working on the
CubeSat.
The CubeSat, which was a really great idea. And that thing was a UFO hunting satellite.
That's right. That's right. Dave's a good friend of mine.
And of course, you got the UFO program, which is now called
the Aerial Anomaly Detection System, because UFO doesn't bring in the money.
Yeah. So how far along are you on that? Like, what's the current stage?
Yeah, we're basically in a hold pattern because we're trying to just get our funding to move to the next steps, which will involve creating a platform with all the cameras on it that's going to do what it has to do.
Would you accept private funding?
Yeah, we do. We're going to, but I haven't talked to Doug about that yet, but I think we will be doing that.
Okay.
I just don't want anyone having a controlling interest. We're not going to allow anyone to have a controlling interest and then steer the discussion their way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why this has been so hard. People that want to do this will just accept money from everywhere.
Yeah.
But, I'm not going to do that. And neither is Doug. We don't want to have any place think they have a controlling interest.
Because you want the data freely available.
The data goes to humanity, not to anybody else.
But obviously, once again, it takes money to do that, to host the data, to make it available for everybody.
So it's taking us a little longer, right?
So maybe there's a public option as well. Maybe you can think about that. There might be, yeah.
There might be, and we're happy to examine that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
We thought of GoFundMe's and stuff like that.
But for anybody that doesn't know what these basically are state-of-the-art detection systems. Any kind of detection you can get are going to be on these, and they're going to be triangulated, correct?
Yes.
So that means for anybody that doesn't know, these things are going to be positioned. I guess you can position them really however far you want to.
Well, we're going to make them all standard. And for those of you who don't know what the heck we're talking about a UFO detection system that will detect the incursion into our local space, our X, Y, and Z moving through time, of craft that may be using advanced propulsion technologies. And we know from some of the physics that these craft, in making the transition into our local space, they will give off certain types of radiation. And it's this type of radiation we're going to be seeking. And we're also going to be looking, of course, for the visual as well.
Yep.
So it's going to be pretty cool.
Visual. From, regular to ultraviolet to infrared to...
Yep.
We're even doing like microwave?
Gamma rays.
Gamma
as
rays.
Well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that get off the ground.
We have the units to actually do these things. We even have ways to communicate to all the GPS satellites and give a custom message that goes down to our phones.
Nice.
If it sees something, that's already there. So, this is all good stuff, And the idea is to do it as, cheaply and economically as possible.
I'm trying to scan through the chat here, see if anybody had any questions. I'm sorry if I wasn't paying attention there at first.
No, that's okay.
First time I talked to Mark
Leviathan asked me about the double-double. I think he's talking about Epsilon Lyra.
Leviathan music. Can you ask Mark what the double-double was called? There you go.
Yeah, it's Epsilon Lyra Leviathan, and it's near Vega. And when you look at it with a pair of binoculars, you can actually see the two stars. They look like stars, but when you look at it with a telescope, you can see two pairs of stars. Depending on how your telescope is oriented, one pair will be 90 degrees to the other pair. In our telescope, it's the upper pair is 90 degrees to the bottom pair, but it won't necessarily be that way every time you look at it. It depends on where everything is angled for you and how it's all looking. So. Not a big deal.
And Robert Mailbox, I hope I'm saying that right. He says, anything more powerful to see even closer. Unfortunately, Robert, we run into a thing called a diffraction limit or the Dawes limit. You obviously have to go bigger to see more.
Right.
No telescope from Earth is going to see the moon's surface. That's just against every law.
Well, that's true. But you might say, well, what if you took the Event Horizon telescope and looked at the moon? Well, you'd get a good radio image of something, but you wouldn't be able to even see, even with the diameter of the Earth, you wouldn't be able to see the detail that we see with the visual.
Right.
Because radio waves, they'd be reflected radio waves, and some of it's going to be absorbed and scattered, so it really would look a little different.
Yeah. And it's like you can get, I mean, that one that they're trying to build in Hawaii that the natives are blocking, the 30-meter telescope.
Yeah.
Even that, 30 meters, you won't be able to see, the Apollo landing sites or anything like that. It's just, the area is just too small.
I think we actually have to go to above 100 meters to be able to even see the remotest.
Remember, we did the math one time, and I think we came to, it was around like 130 meters we would have to be to get it to 2 pixels.
Right, and then you still wouldn't get it. You still wouldn't be able to get the.
And imagine that. Can you imagine a 130-meter telescope? My Lord.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I bet you could. Building it would be a whole other thing.
Oh, I don't know if I passed this on to anybody before, but the Skytour Livestream Observatory has managed to secure a site in Arizona.
Yeah, I think you did say that last time.
For those watching, if you recall, Skytour Livestream is where, where I hail from, and we do the deep sky. Keith and Paul do the planets and the moon. Bill, New York Skywatcher, does the wide-angle views for meteors and so forth. We're all available on astroimaginglive.com, and the deep space imaging requires a really nice sky. We've gotten some really good stuff. I bought a new filter, which I've just finished testing. And Keith, I'll drop in the image so you can just share it. Well, actually, I think I shared an image with you earlier today.
Yeah.
If you could, maybe you can just take that. Maybe take that image.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. I'll have to download it off of there first.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll look for it in the meantime.
Okay. Because I wanted to show folks. What kind of capability this new. This brand new filter on the telescope gives us. It was a lousy, terrible night when the moon was even out, and I took this photo of the Veil Nebula, and I think that's something it would be worth showing. It was real quick, but you won't miss any meteors hitting the moon tonight because they'd be lost in the glare of the moon, perhaps. Unless they're really, really big.
For some reason, it is not letting me download it as a... What kind of photo file was it?
It's a ping.
Okay.
It's Veil East stacked ps01.png.
Skype is asking me, only accept files from people you trust. Do I trust you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ha! Sucker.
If the stream all of a sudden goes to RedTube, we all know why.
You have the Veil virus.
All right, there we go. And it's up. Okay, now let's see.
No,
Open.
Humans are a virus.
Oh, jeez Louise.
Agent Smith.
This file does not have an app associated with it for performing this action. Please install an app or if one is already installed. Create an association.
Oh, it's a ping file for crying out loud.
I know, right? All the other ones work.
So...
Son of a... Sorry, man.
Just you can put it up there. You can figure it out.
Yeah, I'll keep working on it. I did see a question back here. Where'd it go? Back a little bit. Bruce Wayne. Why is that one crater to the left so bright when that's when we were on the top of the moon? That is Aristarchus Crater. And the Aristarchus Plateau, one of personally my favorite areas of the moon, besides Jackson Crater.
You never stop talking about it.
Yeah, I love Aristarchus Plateau because it looks like Ronald's postage stamp town that somebody cut it from somewhere and placed it there. It does not match. It looks like it's going a different...
It does indeed.
And you still got to 3D print me that one.
Oh yeah, I know. In fact, I'm gonna actually do that for you.
Yes. I want a 12 by 12 or 10 by 10, whatever it is.
Yeah, you want a large one. I know that, and I did do an Aristarchus. It looks beautiful. I just have to make it bigger.
By the way, if any of you guys want any of the craters on the moon 3D printed, Mark can actually do that for you. They're available.
They're really beautiful.
Yeah, I have 3 or 4 here, or maybe 5 or 6 here now.
Ew.
Yeah, I have a bunch. When you did Jackson Crater for me, and for anybody who doesn't know, the reason why I love Jackson Crater so much is because it's basically like Tycho's twin on the other side of the moon.
On the far side.
Yeah, they almost look exactly alike.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Which is really cool, and they should look exactly alike, especially considering that it was roughly the same amount of energy that caused that particular crater to form, as well as Tycho.
And by the way, it's not like Mark just goes in and prints these things and then just ships them out to you. These are like actually done, like, yes, they're 3D printed, but then he does all kind of processes afterward to make it actually look real.
We replaced the data that's missing by that 3D printed process,
Did you?
Yeah, we replaced the data,
Nice.
to basically make sure that you have the real data there. Because if you don't do that, then you end up with these jaggies all over the place, and it doesn't really look that good.
Yep.
I think it should look really good, don't you? Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
I totally agree.
Amen.
Yeah.
By the way, Mark, if you see the moon bouncing around a little bit, that's just because it's very windy in Miami, and Paul constructed a wind wall out of plywood and I think a golf cart. So he's trying to block the wind as much as he can. So if you see it jumping around a little bit, just know that a little bit of wind got in there and is not, especially on the 9-inch scope. I mean, that thing's like a wind sail.
That's really good, because I was really wondering. I thought maybe the world got hit by a gigantic billiard ball on the other side.
Yeah, either that or Paul's nerves were shot.
Yeah.
Whatever you just said, that was that you crater in the lines that come off of it, which I'm not sure what those are. It makes it look like a cantaloupe. I think she's saying the
rays.
Yeah, coming off makes it look like a cantaloupe.
Yeah.
Very true.
Well, make sure you're on 1080 too.
Yeah, don't forget 1080, and welcome to Ted Bronson.
Hi, Ted. Nice to see you.
That $1 more and a break even after so many years. Yep. If the biggest crater on the moon hit the Earth, what would happen? You mean the thing that made the crater on the moon?
Well, the biggest he does, of course.
Yeah.
The biggest crater was that crater that created the A.K.A Basin on the far side. And if that hit the Earth, that would be the equivalent of a true extinction event, asteroid hit. Such an impact might have, depending on the energy of impact, it might have actually done a whole lot of damage to us.
Dude, Tycho, something the size of Tycho might have been an extinction event, depending on where it hit.
Of course, and depending on the energy it has.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I uploaded a JPEG of that file, so you can actually see
on Skype.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the Sky Tour live stream, the new filter, the way the Sky Tour live stream filter shows just a few seconds.
Going to it. I don't see it.
Really, it's there.
Or is it still uploading, maybe?
Oh, maybe.
Oh, as soon as it comes through, I'll get it.
Alrighty then.
Montana Horseman, welcome back once again. And once again, Rhonda, thanks for being here. We got Steiger66, and of course, Leviathan. He's been around a lot. Leviathan, I believe, is, correct me if I'm wrong, 16 years old. Interested in astronomy, also interested in music. He's been hanging out here a lot lately. Hopefully he's been learning a thing or two, not just learning how to be stupid for myself. And he's been pretty good. He's been asking a lot of questions. So someone like you is pretty a good person to be around when he has those questions. He's been learning a lot. D. Smith is here. Pilot 301 is here again. Dapple. My man Dapple, who I think is my brother from another mother, because we always literally think the same things, and we almost type them at the exact same time. So it's either the same sick sense of humor, or we were separated at birth.
And Leviathan's 15, not 16.
15, okay. Yeah, I knew he was somewhere in there. And King Jonesdais? Yeah, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to pronounce that, but welcome. Yeah.
And I say hello to all you. Philippe, welcome to Philippe and Pilot and Dapple, King Jones the First.
And by the way, my goal when we get back from the Four Corners region in a month is to pay more attention to the Astro Imaging Live site and getting that thing done so the streams automatically go there. That has got to be done.
Yeah, I thought it was the other day, and then I realized that it wasn't updating, so I figured, okay, it's not there yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I think if we get on it...
Astro Imaging Live is our wonderful second home on the net besides YouTube. Okay, Bill New York Skywatcher has a stream off of there. P&K Space Imaging has one, and of course SkyTour Livestream here, that I have, has a home there, and we have those 3 streams up there, and we offer some tremendous views all in one shot. You can see meteors, the moon, and deep sky objects all in one view. It's really kind of cool.
And yes, we can't forget W.
No, W. Yeah. That's Doug.
So you went over to Norway, you said?
Yeah, I was there on August 14th.
Yep.
Actually, 2 days before I left for Norway, I was in Los Angeles. I did some filming for a Discovery Channel show and a Travel Channel show. Flew back to Connecticut, and hours later was flying to Norway, which is I had to go to JFK, and Bill New York Skywatcher is the man. He literally allowed me to keep my truck in his yard for the full 2 weeks. And he drove me down to JFK with Mom, of course. And it was great. And when I came back, he picked me up. And he even bought pizza and everything so I'd have food.
And live streamed it all.
He live streamed it all. That's correct.
And hello to Brandy and hello to Space Jones and Epics. Rhonda, do you have a link for your 3D creators, Mark? It says, how do we contact a person who has the 3D printings? That's Mark, who is on with me now. He can post a link to them.
Sure, actually.
In the chat for you there.
I will. I'm going to actually do that right now. I'll do that because... let me go. Actually, let's go check something while I'm here. I will do that right now. 1 second.
I seen the big fiery balls. Thought they were going to hit me when I looked up. Nothing there. Well, that's weird. Dude, I was working today. I got up like way early, and I got done around, I'm going to say it was probably about 2 o'clock.
Really?
I literally just crashed out.
Holy cow.
I did. I was beat from yesterday and today. I had so much stuff to do, and I finally got it done. And I was like, cool, we'll stream tonight, and Paul was ready to go. He was back from Fort Lauderdale, so we were like, all right. That's why we haven't been streaming the last 2 nights, by the way, because Paul was away, if anybody was wondering. But he is back now. And my lord, now tell me Aristarchus doesn't look like somebody cut that square out and placed it there. The dirt's all going the wrong way. It's just, I love that area. It just so does not belong. It doesn't. Sorry. Like, why is it dark? Like, why is the square itself just dark?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Fish Tropic, as you guys ever catch anything flying by? All the time. There is a UFO playlist. Some of them have been identified, and the titles have been updated since. If we have identified it as satellites or, space junk, or what was the one, the bow tie? The bow tie UFO? We haven't figured what that was yet. Yeah, it happens. Let's see. Many UAPs. Yep, okay. Pilot. So you got back from Norway. We're home for what, 2 days?
About 11 hours, and I flew to Arizona to do more talks.
And then flew to Arizona and was there for a week.
Yeah, and you know what's weird? I get to Norway. I fly into Oslo, Gardermoen, and I take trains back to Lunda, where my base of operations was. Got in the car the following morning and drove all the way to Bergen, 6 hours away. Get to Bergen, and then I find out that Ket has to has to head out into the woods with Bergen police to help find a woman's body.
Nice.
So I ended up on that.
That's not creepy.
Yeah, well, they found the body.
No, nice.
Yeah, she was a 14-year-old cold case.
Yeah, that's still not creepy in any way.
No, creepy, especially when you consider how crazy the woods looked. I mean, the woods, everything was covered in green moss. Every single thing, trees, trunks, branches, everything. And it looked like you were walking out of the movie Swamp Thing. I mean, it really did. And we had to climb a 40-degree incline covered with undulating terrain of moss and boulders covered with lots of moss and trees covered with moss to get up to the top where there was a swamp. Yeah. It's in the swamp where this girl had been dumped. Her body had been dumped. So,
thank you, pilot.
Yeah, pilot. Look at that, huh?
Do you remember offhand what the diameter of Aristarchus Crater is?
Aristarchus Crater's diameter.
30 miles? 60 miles? I think it's 30. 30 or 31. I could be wrong, though.
I think it's, I'll tell you. I think it's 40 kilometers. So what's that? 40 kilometers converted to miles, whatever that is. So it's got to be obviously a little more than that, right?
It'd be less than miles, wouldn't it?
Yes, but it's got to be. I'm thinking in terms of. You're not in my head. You didn't hear what I was thinking. Sorry. But it's only 175 million years old. Which is kind of interesting. That's why it's got such a bright shoulder of stuff, I think. Yeah.
So it's. I mean, that little white spot there that's just sitting there glowing on the plateau. I mean,
yeah,
it's 40 kilometers across.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It shows you how we're close, but we're not even close.
Yeah.
And I don't care how big your telescope is. I don't care how powerful your camera is. You cannot defeat the diffraction limit. You cannot defeat the Dawes limit.
You cannot.
You can. You can't do it. You can get it right to that diffraction limit. Which is what John Leonard Walson does, and he does a very good job as. Now, I'm not much for the person John Leonard Walson, but I'm not going to knock his work because it is very, very good.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Unless he's trying to say there's spaceships that are in stationary orbit or stationary locations over the Earth.
Yeah.
That just goes right off the deep end.
Yeah, and plus that one astronomer totally debunked him and recreated that.
Yeah.
But but don't get me wrong, his moonshots are great.
Yeah.
I wish they were longer, but as far as I know, it's like a handheld system, so so it doesn't, you can't be overly long, but yeah.
Let's hope it isn't a handheld system up against the page of a book.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not. I mean, it's as I said, he does really good. He takes it right to that diffraction limit.
Yeah.
But once again, you can only get so close. Plus, he has pretty good skies over there when he does decide to do it. He picks the really, really good calm nights to look at those things. And, once again, with Paul being at sea level, we just don't get that many. But we will in a month.
Yeah.
New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be getting that every day with Skytour Livestream when I do that.
Yeah, no, me and Bill were talking about that, and we're like, okay, well, instead of messing around with Pine Bush every year, we're just going to come crash your house every May.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
We'll just bring a bus full of people.
You know what? I'm okay with that.
And tell them to pitch tents.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
Stay inside the snake fence.
Yeah. And you said you found a plot of land, correct?
I've been given land to, not given, but I've been given access to. And I'm able to have my observatory on land. I'm able to put a slab on there, able to put a roll-off roof observatory.
Nice.
Mount several piers, actually. And I'm going to put several piers in there to accommodate universities that might want to rent time on a telescope.
There you go. And thanks again, Mr. Ted Bronson. You don't have to by any means. But thank you. That will go towards the trip.
Ted, you're the man.
Ted is the man. Ted has been one of our top supporters here for a very long time. And
with Skytour Livestream, he's been supportive of us too.
Yep.
He is really, really good.
He is the man.
Yep.
Hi there. I'm Johnny Dundalis from Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix.
Hello, Johnny.
I was just there, Johnny.
Let's see. Noli wants to smoke a bowl and get comfy. There we go. Hey, whatever tickles your pickle, my man.
Okay, that's a little metaphor I haven't heard. Okay.
You're gonna see that on NASA's Unexplained Files.
No, you won't.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, Wednesday nights, man. Wednesday nights are pretty good hangout nights.
That's good.
We don't get to do them often.
I know, and it's kind of cool. I got to see a lot of Norway the past couple of weeks, and then I got to see Phoenix again. I might be going back in November, and I might be going to Sweden in October actually to do talks.
Oh, Sweden.
Sweden, yeah. Sweden, yeah. Yeah.
I should go over there maybe. Need somebody to carry your bags or something?
Well, we want to do the Northern Lights expedition up north of Tromsø.
Okay.
Because seeing the Northern Lights from northern Norway is spectacular beyond comparison.
I can imagine. What latitude line are they on? I don't even know.
I made up word. It's spectaculance.
Spectaculance.
That's right. Like professioner.
Because they're up like...
That's way up.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the latitudes up there.
Oslo is 50 something north, and Tromsø is a lot farther up.
Yeah.
And then I think Trondheim is actually further.
I'm trying to remember back in the days when I used to study like what's associated with latitude bands. Like the wettest place on Earth is the equator. That's where you have like the rainforest and stuff like that around the world. And then 30 degrees north or 30 degrees south is where you have your driest places on Earth.
Yeah. I mean, Tromsø is almost 70 degrees north.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And I would say it's just, I think it's just, I'm thinking, it's just north of the Arctic Circle, actually. Yeah. If I got it right.
Yeah, it's up there.
That means that in the wintertime, Tromsø is going to always be the land of the, basically, darkness. Above the Arctic Circle will be in dark.
Yeah, there's one town in, I'm not sure if it was Norway or Denmark. Somewhere up there that's like
Denmark's
constant winter.
South.
Okay, so it's not Denmark then.
Yeah, I went to Copenhagen, go to Oslo on the way, and that's south of Norway. So it must be. You must be thinking Norway.
Who was down at the UFO Congress this year?
Oh gosh, well I spoke, and Richard Dolan was there. We had a lot of people. We had the Nimitz guys, the pilots from the Nimitz incident were there. A great bunch of folks. I know most of them actually quite well, and they're good friends. And then we had oh gosh, there were like 25, 30 people that spoke.
Wow.
Yeah,
well, that is like a 3-day event, isn't it?
It's 4th through the 8th.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I did the toilet paper again, but with a different spin.
I was going to say a different ply.
There was a different plot to this toilet paper event.
Yep.
Now, what I did was, people who know me know that I will sometimes take the history of the Earth and put it on a roll of toilet paper, and then spread it out and let people see the scale of the events that occurred on the Earth. Well, this time, I did it because I was trying to show how life in the universe could have developed at any point that we were developing, become advanced at any point while we were developing, and visited us at any point while we were developing. And I wasn't trying to say that they seeded us or put us here, because I don't believe that is even necessary. But basically what I did was I showed how when people say, well, I saw reptilians, or I saw Nordics, or I saw this, I saw that, based on the different extinction level events that we've had here on this planet, dinosaurs and the age of the reptiles arose here. Well, it means that it's a life form that would probably also exist in some fashion elsewhere. So had the extinction event that killed the dinosaurs not occurred, what would have happened? Would we have intelligent dinosaurs? Not necessarily. It's a possible outcome. And so this could explain why people say they see reptilians. Maybe reptilians are from a planet that was
that didn't have an extinction event.
Yeah, and this is not pseudoscience. This is not going over to the dark side or the woo-woo side. Yeah. The bottom line is that these are all very real possibilities, and if you're a science person, you can't sit back and say no, it's patently impossible, because we know that it's absolutely not. Mm. And if someone says it's patently impossible, then they're not good science people, and a good scientist would never say that.
Leviathan had asked you if the Big Dipper a constellation inside another constellation.
The Big Dipper is what's called an asterism, right? So it's a pattern of stars that looks like something else, because the Ursa Major is the constellation, and that's the Great Bear, Ursa Major. Okay, Big Bear, and the Big Dipper is just a pattern in the Big Dipper. A pattern in Ursa Major that we pick out because it looks like a ladle with a handle. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There you go. Chicken Little said so. Speaking of moon rocks, splashed with glass, laced with fission tracks, what kind of mini nova was that?
Splashed with glass, laced with fission tracks.
Yeah, I just read the comment.
What kind of mini nova was that? I'm not sure. Chevy? No, actually, I'm not trying to make fun of your comment. Chicken Little.
Yeah, I'm just not sure exactly. What it was.
I'm not sure what the context is, but fill us in. Let me know. I'll be happy to help you if I know the answer.
Fish Tropic, this might be some math for you in your head real quick. If craters are 50 miles wide, how big would a nuclear bomb be to make it? If it was 50 miles wide, wow, that would be a massive.
Probably about a 30 megaton, I think, actually.
For 50 miles?
Yeah, well, a 1 megaton does a 1 mile crater.
Okay.
And it's not a one-to-one relationship.
True.
I kind of know the answer, but only because of the fact that I've written a program that will actually calculate the size of an impact based on different kinds of asteroids that strike the Earth, and I relate them in terms of nuclear output. So I could just bring that up and go through. But 50 miles is a big crater, but don't forget the crater that struck off the Yucatan. I mean, we're talking about that Cretaceous Paleogene boundary event, as it's called, otherwise known as the KT boundary event that killed the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. That event made a crater that was over 100 miles in diameter. So we're talking a big impact. But the rock itself was probably 30 miles across.
We're talking beastie.
Yeah.
Very beastie.
We're talking beastie.
I do have to remind people, too, that if you get a chance, go check out Astronomy Live. He is working on that tracking program, and it is coming along very nicely. He is in beta test right now and is allowing other astronomers to beta test as well. So if any astronomers are listening or whatever, you can go over there and get it and get the software for it and try it out on your telescope, and you can watch the videos to see how it works.
Isn't he the one isn't he selling it?
No, it's free.
No, but isn't he trying to, isn't he trying to get out of the project? Isn't he the one?
Not that I know of.
I just saw someone saying
he's doing the sat tracker.
Yeah, satellite tracker. That's the guy.
It might be. Not as far as I know, because he was just working on it the other night.
Yeah.
Working on the coding part.
Is that heavenscape.com?
No. Not that I know of.
Because he started a GoFundMe to try and keep it alive. And he wasn't getting anyone who was coming anywhere close. It's just terrible.
Yeah, I'm not sure. As far as I know, it's alive and well. And he's, as I said, he was in the coding the other night, fixing some problems with certain operating systems and whatnot. But,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it might be. You might be right, as far as I know. But as I said, as I personally know, I don't think so. I think it's still
okay. Good.
And if Astronomy Live, if you're watching, let us know.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it might even be streaming. Who knows?
I was going to stream tonight, except it is terrible out.
Yeah, we got thunderstorms rolling through Pennsylvania. They're about dying out now, though. But Paul's
Yeah,
looking not too bad down there in Florida.
good.
He's going to calm down a little bit.
Did you see my photo I sent you in Skype so you could
Oh,
share
no,
that?
not yet. Let me go check.
So just by the way, just so you know,
It's
I
still
wanted to
not
mention
here.
to Nolly D, tardigrades are real things. You betcha. Tardigrades are really cool creatures, and they're actually they're also known as water bears, and they're a really neat little creature because they can go into a state of biological hibernation. Basically, it's called cryptobiosis, and these creatures can be in the absence of water, air for some period of time, and they will just go into cryptobiosis or cryptobiotic state. And if you take them into an atmosphere and put water back in, they will come back to life. Truly suspended animation. And talk about mind blown. That's mind blown.
That's creepy.
Yes, it is.
Very creepy, but useful.
I think that's a
That's gonna be some studying done for cryogenics in the future. When you talk about cryo sleep and stuff like that, that's where that field's gonna start with those little water bears.
put dead people in a state of cryptobiosis.
Put live people.
Huh?
You want to sleep on your way out to Alpha Centauri?
Well,
Well,
we
that's where
won't
it's
need
gonna
to be
start.
sleeping for that in the future, because by the time we can do this for humans, we will already have interstellar travel. I mean, NASA's already funded a lab to study it, if you recall.
Yep.
They're studying it now because it's actually distantly plausible.
Suspended animation.
Right.
That's weird. Think about the time we're living in right now.
I know. Look at you with the Mr. Contrast over here on the moon with Tycho and the rays. They're beautiful.
Why should I take the contrast off?
No, it looks good.
I don't really have it up that much. That's mostly Paul.
Okay.
Yeah, I have it up just a tad.
Yeah.
But
No, take it off. They look good.
a friend of mine asked me a question the other day, which I thought was very interesting. And he's like, what if life is just about experience? And what if, like, everybody that's here now, every one of us, chose to be at this point in time? Like this, like, say, none of us have experienced this through our experiences, and we chose to come back to this time because something major happens in this time. Whether it be, 1960s to 2030s or, 1980s to 2040s, 50s. Like, what if we chose to be here because something big's going to happen and we wanted to see how it unraveled, but we just don't know it? Isn't that interesting?
It is. It's
crazy.
Bill Doucette says, I think we're just currently the top species occupying the planet. Global extinction events have I think he means to say wiped away other past intelligent species, past civilizations erased by moving continents. Well, okay.
I think it's possible.
Let's put a little science on that. That's a good comment, Bill. I want to just toss this out as well. We're the top species because of a curious chain of events that led to us being the top species. But guess what? 252 million years ago, during the Permian period, there was another major extinction event in which mammals were hit the hardest. I should say pre-mammals, because those were actually the dominant species at the time. So the things that would then become us were dominant back then, and because of that, they were hardest hit, and thus their extinction and other creatures' extinctions led to a new age. That was the age of the dinosaurs, and that's when the dinosaurs who were less hard hit rose to prominence, and that's the reason why we have dinosaurs in the fossil record like we do, because the pre-mammals basically were wiped off the planet, and all the niches occupied by them were filled by the new reptile species that came to prominence. Very cool.
And what makes all this possible?
Huh?
Time.
Oh yeah. Time. And
that's why I don't understand the whole. I know a lot of people with biblical beliefs believe like the Earth is 6,000 years old. It's like,
yeah, well,
that's a tough one because of knowing how much time it takes, for certain things to occur.
Yes.
It just kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit.
It does, and considering that 65 million years ago, dinosaurs were dominant. And at the time, there was a theropod, meat eater, that was actually increasing its intelligence. Its brain capacity was increasing based on the fossil record. This is interesting. This means that it might have been possible, although certainly not even remotely guaranteed, that had the KT boundary event, the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction that wiped out the dinosaurs 65 million years ago, not happened, then maybe we would be more related to reptiles in the way our lives have carried on and evolved. Or maybe we would never have reached intelligence. So
Anupam Das Moran. I'm sorry, I have to agree with Montana Horseman here. Yeah, a lot of these, the crater depths vary tremendously. It is a perspective thing. I don't know if you want to go into that at all, Mark.
Yeah, look at the screen right now.
Crater depths.
You can actually see that there are some smaller craters that appear to have more depth than some of the larger craters. These are all illusions. Okay, the craters are not all the same depth because they're not all flat bottomed. Those smaller craters are bowl shaped, BOWL, bowl shaped from the bottom. And the reason the craters do have a flat bottom, those are complex craters. That crater system is caused by very complex interactions. When the meteor or asteroid strikes the moon, of course, it vaporizes a lot of material. It causes a massive splash, quote unquote. And when that happens, the material that is moved to the outside of the main, what they call a transient crater, the first crater that forms as the thing explodes, the thing hits. That stuff comes rushing back in to the center because it's elevated in altitude by the impact. And then, of course, gravity pulls it back down toward the center. And we sometimes will get rings as well. And these rings are about halfway out from the center. And those indicate a particularly energetic event. And when these types of rings appear, we also get a central peak as well. It's like the bloop from water. When you drop something in water, you see a little bit more come up from the center. That's the bloop, and the bloop on the moon is preserved for billions of years with the impact. So I think that's pretty cool. And that's kind of how they are. We have the impact craters that are complex. We have them that are simple craters, and the complex. And then if you look at the moon now, you see these gigantic, vast, roughly circular areas that are gray and dark gray. These are the Maria, the seas on the moon.
Wait, hold on. Let me get my ever trusty yellow arrows so I can point at them while you're talking about them.
I love it. Go for it. And the seas on the moon are areas where impacts struck and went into the molten interior of the moon at the time. And we had a bleed of magma from underneath the surface come up, and this lava spread out over the surface, found its own level, and then cooled, like you see. So this is an example of it's an example of how the seas were formed. Now, right above the seas, you can also see, for instance, Plato. Okay, Plato Crater is to the left and above. It's a perfectly round gray ring. Yeah, very good. And Keith was very happy to point these out through the clouds.
I'm pointing at Plato right now, too, so just so you know.
Okay, cool.
Until the screen just went dark.
Yeah, that's all right. But
just a couple clouds blowing
60
by.
miles across.
It'll go away. Don't worry.
Yeah. And what you guys can do, if you want to see these in more detail, is you can go to the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter website, but don't bother trying to remember all that. Just look up on Google LRO Quick Map. Okay, all one word. LRO Quick Map. LRO is one word. Quick Map is another. And the Quick Map is an area that you can browse the moon front and back, top and bottom, down to seeing objects about 30 feet across. You can see the rover tracks. You can even see the flag. You can see the bases of the lunar modules. And these sites are all outlined for you if you want to find them in the table of, not table of contents, but the structured uh, um, anomaly location area, which is right to the left of the main screen. You can turn on nomenclature so you can see which craters are which. You can look for the Apollo landing sites. You can go look at how the moon looks in different lights. You can go and just take a look at all the basic information and see the results right there on your screen. Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter Quick Map. Look that up in Google and prepare to be amazed.
Prepare to be there for hours too, because once you click on that site and you can actually zoom in with amazing detail down to like individual boulders, you're just like you're scanning and zooming everything
down to 0.5 meter per pixel.
I mean, you're talking. I think they're all pretty much based off of TIFF images, where just the detail is amazing.
The detail is amazing. There's no compression, and it's all online, which makes it able to be done. Because if it was something you had to download, it would be many tens and maybe hundreds of gigabytes of data, maybe terabyte of data. To have it all on your machine.
Somebody else had a question up here. I was trying to go back. I think I lost it. Sorry, whoever that was. Phil Cox says it always seems to get cloudy when I want to film. That's exactly how it happens. Usually it's nice and clear just till we hit go live button, and then all of a sudden the clouds show up. Yep. That's how it goes. Exactly. Have you ever seen the stellar cores that Dr. Claudia Albers claims are up there?
Claudia Albers.
Not this woman.
Claudia Albers is
that was a bird, by the way.
What's that?
A bird just flew by.
Oh, yeah. Claudia Albers is someone that I've lost some respect for, because she's not sticking to her science, but she's speculating on things that have no evidence. She's not speculating on things that do have evidence. And she's making wild claims that are absolutely unequivocally impossible to show. And none of what she claims has any evidence at all. You can't even pretend that something is happening that she's making these claims about. I really don't think that having the title of a physicist, it gives you the license to just spew bad physics. And I'm afraid that's what she's doing. I wish she wasn't.
Well, we first encountered her when we went on with our friend Daza, because she was making some crazy claims then, and Mark kind of put it out there, and that was probably almost 2 years ago now. Yeah,
well, this shows you how far she's gone. She's got legs.
Yeah,
these silly things get legs. And you might say, well, shouldn't everybody have an opinion? Of course, but don't you think everybody should have an opinion that's based on some educated guess rather than just an outright blatant statement of I want it to be true and without proof?
Yeah. Well, see, there's something going on YouTube these days. It's for anybody that doesn't know, it's called confirmation bias, and it's running rampant. Yeah. And that's basically finding anything that agrees with your thinking or your position and using it as evidence for your position.
Right.
And that's just not how it works. You see it all over the place, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows what I'm talking about. But, and it's all over. It's for everything from astronomy to political to, it's just. I want to say it's kind of human nature to want to do it, but if you're conscious of it and you know that it's happening, you're more aware of to not do it. You're like, am I reading this because it's fact, or am I reading this just because it agrees with my own personal beliefs?
Yeah, that's usually what it is.
Yeah, and usually it's kind of hard sometimes, because sometimes it's a slap in the face. I mean, we get a lot of stuff here, from people that, well, there's bases on the moon and we're all over, and this channel's showing this and that, and then I go look, and I'm like, no, that's not what that is.
Yeah.
And then you try to tell them what it actually is. And the next thing you know, you're a NASA shill. You're hiding it. You're a government disinfo agent. By the way, that shirt is now available. Government disinfo agent. Teespring below. But just because you try to tell them what things are, that can be backed up by science. But they want to believe that there's moon bases. They want to believe this. I mean, granted, if we find a moon base, we will be the first ones to say yes, and we confirm it. But you just can't. You can't pass off pixels, and you can't pass off compression artifacts as moon bases. You can't. That's not science. That's not research. That's believing the first thing that you see without any scrutinization to it. And unfortunately, we get a lot of hate for that because we're not jumping that ship. I mean, if we were a UFO, blurting everything's a UFO, I mean, we'd be well over 1 million subscribers by now. If every other thing was a UFO.
You would, but I'm glad that you don't. I'd rather build it up the honest way.
Exactly. It's and you have to realize, and we've said this 100 times before, something goes across the screen, and until we can prove that it's not a satellite, that it's not a bird, that it's not space junk, all those things have to stay in play.
They do.
Until you can prove it.
Keith, you learn from me, and you're smart.
I don't learn nothing from you. Actually, I learned most of my stuff from you. So you're the disinformation. Yeah.
No, you learn. You're good at that, and you've always had what's called critical thinking capability. That's the other problem.
Yeah.
I noticed so many people don't have critical thinking capability. By the way, I put my link for the Sky Tour live stream up there. I'm glad it wasn't auto rejected.
Yeah, it shouldn't. You're a mod on the channel, so you should be all right.
All right.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that picture. Yeah, that thing still didn't come through on Skype. By the way.
No, I put you in. It's in the. What is it? What's it? It's in the. It's a JPEG that I have in there.
Yeah, no, you sent it through Skype, right?
Yeah, I made it a JPEG for you though.
Yeah, no, nothing ever came through.
It sits there. It's in Skype. I'm looking right at it.
Okay, I'm gonna open Skype, and the last thing I have from you is a message that says "Ha" at 8:47 p.m. I have nothing else.
Oh, maybe because I was supposed to hit send.
There we go. See, you learn a lot from me, Mark.
I do.
There we go. Now it's up there.
Now you're absolutely right.
Okay, let me see if I can open this now. Okay, hold
you
on.
will. Cause
let me get the. Hold on. Let me get this. Because I think you'll like this one. I think you might actually have to get this shirt, Mark. Might have to get you one. Because you're here talking science, so you're definitely a disinfo agent. Let's see.
Bite your tongue.
Well, that's how it goes. If you're not with them, you're against them. Oh, there we go. Okay, let me try to open this. Let's see if I can make my computer crash. All these windows open.
That'd be great. If the stream goes down, we'll know why.
Save as. Oh, stop doing that. It wants me to save it as a. Just all right. You know what? I hate you. It's not being my friend. Like it doesn't. Okay, let me try this. Say, what did you name this thing? Because I didn't even see a name. Okay, because I saved it to the downloads or whatever you have, whatever name you have it under. So I have no idea what it's going to be.
It's okay.
I'll try to find it. Okay, so I have it downloaded, so I'll show that in a minute. Let me. And you can keep an eye on chat for anybody that has any questions.
Yeah, I'm looking around. It's fine. Do what you gotta do. I'm looking. Shauna D says I love astrology. Hopefully you meant astronomy. Maybe not. I mean, some people like astrology. I got into some discussions with people in Arizona day before yesterday on it when I was there. Pretty cool.
Astrology you did?
What?
On astrology you got in some discussions?
Yeah, I had people asking me about astrology and what I think of it, and I, told them that, I have no basis for believing that astrology works, but hey, to each his own. I'm not closed, but I'm not, although just because it doesn't have evidence doesn't mean I don't pay attention to some of the claims. I think it's important to let everybody talk, and then you take a look at what they talk about,
I agree.
See if there's anything to it.
Well, I can say I agree, but that's a lie.
Yeah.
Because as soon as flat earthers go off, I'm done.
Oh yeah, no, flat earthers, forget it. I was in a panel discussion with George Knapp, Richard Dolan, Chase Kletsky, and myself. We were at a panel discussion in front of the entire group that was at the UFO Congress. And I basically made a statement that said, People that are flat earthers, you can just leave now, because the earth is not flat. There's no way, no how. No one's going to believe you. And, it's ridiculous to even, because the question the question I was asked was sort of related to that.
Mm.
Roni Hassan, hey, how are you?
Man, I tell you what, that.
No, Sean, I know you're not talking about the flat Earth. The flat Earth is a ridiculous concept.
Yeah, debunked into oblivion.
Oh, you know what he said that got everybody laughing. I said, well, flat Earth organizations are very big. They have members from all around the globe.
Yep, that's the oldest one in the book.
And it got a laugh that nearly brought the house down at the UFO Congress.
Did you tell them the one about cats pushing everything off the edge?
Yeah, right. That's right.
It's another
if
one we get all
flat,
the time.
Nothing left on it because cats would push it all off the edge.
Okay, let me go here to downloads. Let's see if I can find your thing. Veil E stacked.
That's it.
Okay, let's see if it shows up. Okay. Oh, wow. I'm going to shrink this thing down a little bit so I can see. It's way bigger than the screen.
Yes, it is. But
okay, shrink her down.
Get her done.
And shrinking her down.
Mm-hmm.
And still shrinking her down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my Lord,
well,
this thing is huge.
Well, we take images in high res,
It is 32 megabytes, so.
That is a pretty moon.
There we go. Okay, it's coming up on screen. I'm going to put it on the right side so we can keep an eye on Aristarchus.
Okay. Aristarchus has got a really nice glow coming back from the white material, and
this is an image you took off of your scope?
Yeah, this is Skytour live stream. This is only a 20-second shot. And, this is what people can see when they come in and they look at what we're doing.
You guys can see this live.
Yeah.
You can see Nebula live. You can see dual star systems live.
Yeah, Epsilon Lyra, for instance. Yeah, look at that. It's beautiful.
It's good stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's just one piece of this. And look at all the filaments in there. I mean, the Veil Nebula, ready for this? This is something that I've never been able to see before. But then what I did was I got the really nice filter. I did this. I started looking at a lot of this stuff in a little more detail. This is a 20-second photo of an object that many people have struggled with for many years. I just did it in 20 seconds with the Skytour Livestream Observatory telescope. I figured it's a good time with the moon having clouds pass around it, so kind of neat. And you can see all that detail. That's really, really pretty,
I mean, it doesn't beat the Andromeda one for me, but...
Oh, but that's true. Andromeda Galaxy, of course, is gorgeous.
Yeah.
If you got that one, you can put that up, too.
I'm trying to find that.
Show people what you're talking about is what I'm saying,
Yeah, I'm trying to find that one, but I don't remember what it was. Didn't it have it had another funky name, didn't it?
I don't know.
It's probably not the one that says Dustbuster.
Little vacuum cleaner shows up on the screen. Oh,
that's exactly what happened. I don't know why I have a picture of a Dustbuster, but I do. Yeah, a long time ago. That's the thing they're giving me, and they're not letting me. Let's see. Nope.
Oh, Dr. Fox 2000. This one was taken with a couple of filters, actually. I used a Sky Glow filter from Orion, which I don't have much faith in. But then I added a UHC Ultra High Contrast S filter to this. And it really made the difference. It made the difference between getting beautiful shots and just getting mediocre shots. Oh, and when I looked at Jupiter with it, I could see detail within the cloud bands. It was just beautiful. I have some photos of that too, but because it's an f6.3 telescope.
Why do I have this? Why is this even on my computer? What is this? What? Jesus.
You must have been doing a meme about Dustbusters.
I had to at some point in my life. Like, why do I have this on? Like, it doesn't even make sense. It's like a van on top of a Dustbuster. Like, what is going on right now? Like, I couldn't even imagine a time I would even need this kind of image. let alone for it to just be sitting there as a download on my computer. Like, wait till you see this thing pop up. You're going to be like, what the heck? There's like
Really?
a Chevy minivan on top of a Dustbuster box.
Maybe you were trying to say that. What the heck is that?
Like, I don't get it. Like, really?
That's a Matchbox. It's a Matchbox car on top of a Dustbuster box.
Yeah, like, why?
Taken on a sidewalk or something.
That's freaking horrible. Oh my!
And the worst thing is, it's a Lumina minivan. It's one of those Chevy Luminas, or the Pontiac version.
Let me see here. Sorry, I had to show that one. That was just a little nuts.
Well, you got a dark screen, so why not?
Oh, here we go. Saved pictures. Let's see. Oh, that's me and you. Ha! Okay.
Well, show people me and you. You might as well.
Well, we don't want to scare them away.
Well, then cut you out.
Hey. Let's just simmer down there, D'Antonio.
There's always room for humor.
Always room for jello.
Mordecus, how's it going? Yeah, and you're right. Minivans do suck. I went through minivan AG double toothpicks myself. That's minivan hell, but I just didn't want to say the word hell because hell sometimes connotes some bad things. So we don't say hell a lot. You know what I mean?
You're creative.
Come on, in.
Double hockey sticks. What?
Oh,
Yeah, I can't find the disinfo shirt. Anyway, it's down there.
Like Cartman.
It's on the Teespring site if anybody wants it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm still looking though. I'm still gathering info. Oh, no, that's not it.
Gathering info.
Let's see. Can you play that meme thingy about the flat Earth people that you played this? It's not a meme. It's an actual video. It's on the channel. You can play it anytime you want to.
Yeah, go watch it. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the longest we ever held out for clouds the other night. Almost 3 hours holding out, hoping these clouds cleared. And they always looked like they were going to clear, and this cloud just parked and just did not move.
Most likely,
kudos to all you that hung
there.
out that whole time. Because that was, I even put in the title, like, don't bother. It was horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, it was probably forming there, and those are those clouds. After the sun sets, you see clouds forming. And those clouds are formed due to the radiation coming off the planet, rising up and cooling. And, of course, when they rise up, the heat rises up. It then cools and condenses, and you get these clouds that actually look like they're following the terrain. It's really kind of cool.
Well, the thing that killed us was the ocean breeze stopped.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that just totally, killed everything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Here, I'll put this up here for you, even though it has the wrong time on it. How about that? Let's see. Yeah, that'll work. Hey, now we're clearing out. That is who is on with me right now. So it's no longer Sunday nights at 9. It's Sunday nights at 8 to 10. See you later, Brandy. Yep. Have a good night. Let's see. Okay, back to the chat. I'm not looking for that picture anymore. It's annoying me. It's not showing up. I can't even imagine where I would put it.
There it is.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's, as you said, Sunday night, 8 to 10. It's the only real science show on KGRAradio.com. We're currently ranked at 3 to 4 for our time slot. And we reach about 3 million people a month now, Yeah. So it's really become quite popular. I'm very, very pleased at the popularity of the show and the fact that KGRA stands behind us and everything. It's really nice.
Well, just imagine KGRA. Mark's on there, yes, but KGRA is mostly a paranormal radio station. So you want to talk about UFOs and aliens and, mostly.
Yeah.
You do have, I don't know if you have any ghost people on there anymore or not. I think it's mostly like UFO stuff.
It's UFO, it's spiritual stuff,
but
it's all good stuff, but
Yeah, very interesting. And you have who? Richard Dolan. I think what's her name's on a break right now, right?
Linda Moulton Howe.
Yeah, Linda Moulton Howe.
And
Tons of others. Tons
yeah,
of others.
yeah.
And that's who our good buddy Bill produces for. So that's why he's always running the radio station or stuff
What's
like
that?
That's what he's always saying. I got to run the radio station. That's what he's talking about. KGRA.
Oh, Race, when Race says it.
No, when Bill says it.
Oh, Bill, that's right. That's right.
So yeah, and we'll be seeing Race and Bill and all them out west. I take it you're not going to be out there, correct? Since you've been all over the place.
Yeah, I don't know if I can. I'm supposed to. You're going in October, right?
Yeah, 9th to the 23rd.
Yeah. See, I just went August. I went to Norway from the 14th to the 31st, right?
Yeah.
And October, I might be in Sweden, because the new sciences tour may be going to Sweden. And then if I get that, that's going to take up a good deal of it. And I've got 2 other conferences that month elsewhere. I got one in Leominster, Mass. I may be part of. If not speaking, I don't think I'm speaking at that conference, but I am going to be on a panel from what I was told by Susan Spooler, the marvelous person who runs that conference. And then I've got another one in Danbury, Connecticut that I'll be doing in October.
Oh, local.
Yeah, local.
I know what the thing was earlier. The question that I missed just popped in my head about moon rotation. Somebody had asked if our moon's the only moon that doesn't spin, or something like that. But yeah, it was about moon rotation. Like, we're not the only moon that's tidally locked, correct?
No, that's correct. We're just the only one we know of because we don't see it every day to notice that it doesn't change its side. But there's other moons in the solar system that are also tidally locked. For instance, I'll give you an example. All the way out to Pluto, Charon. Okay, Pluto's moon is tidally locked. Okay. Other moons that are close enough to the planets are tidally locked. Okay. And you can look up a list of the tidally locked moons rather than going through them one by one here. But, the Heathen, you're in Connecticut? I'm in Connecticut too. Where are you in Connecticut? And hopefully he'll answer. Or she'll answer. Who, he or she. Pretty cool, I mean, I'm trying to find you. I'm trying to find your. This might be the one you want to see.
Andromeda?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, that doesn't look like Andromeda. That's M13. How the hell did that get there?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That's M13. I read it as M31.
And I am going to get that as blown up as much as I can for art for the studio. That Andromeda picture.
I think that'll be beautiful.
Yeah, I mean that was just a chance happening that night where everything just cleared for that split. It just came out beautiful.
Yeah. Yes, it was really pretty.
I tell you what, these fast-moving clouds are kind of annoying.
They are,
but at least they're moving. You know what I mean?
I was going to say, at least they're moving.
Yeah, not stagnant like they were the other night.
They did not have to move, but we're happy that they did move.
Yeah, let me know if you could find that Andromeda one, because for some reason it's not, I don't know what happened to it on here.
Yes, I'm looking for it as we speak. Let's
see, that's that.
As we speak.
Dude. Let me go through here. Andromeda is predicted to collide with the Milky Way. Yes, it is.
Yeah, in a couple billion years it'll be here. And you know what will happen? Absolutely nothing.
No.
We won't actually notice it.
Oh, you will in the night sky, but if it's still around.
Oh, it's not going to be, it won't be noticed,
Mm-hmm. Oh, here we go. I think I found it. Yeah, I did find it. Okay. Not the Andromeda one, the other one.
You found it?
Yeah, I found it.
Oh, well, very good.
I found your new t-shirt. Just for you.
Well, that's good because I just finished finding it for you.
Good. Send it to me. Mm-mm.
Okay.
There is the new Disinformation Agent t-shirt that I promised. And actually, the things are selling pretty good, actually. A lot of science people are eating it up. because that's the first thing they get called. When they try to tell people science.
Exactly.
You're just a shill. You're a disinformation agent. And then I did get permission to use NASA's logo, so those shirts are coming soon too.
All right, good.
It's just gonna have NASA's logo, and it's gonna have shill on the bottom.
What did NASA say about using their logo?
You just have to get written permission.
Okay.
Like kind of like I do with their videos or their feeds. Like I don't have to get permission because it's a public company, done by tax dollars. But the logos are, on the other hand, when I'm selling them for a profit,
yes,
you have to get specific permission. They're not going to let it on. And I told them, you have to describe what you're doing with it, what your intentions are with it, and you have to stay within their guidelines of, there can't be two emblems. Like I can't put P&K Space Imaging on the front with theirs, but I can put NASA's shill and then I can put P&K on the back.
Okay.
Stuff like there's certain just parameters you have to stay in when using their logo and stuff. So
gotcha.
Here we go. We're back to the big scope. Good. So some clouds must have passed pretty good for Paul to be back to this.
I put the horsehead JPEG in there. I mean ping, but I have to change it to a JPEG.
No, I can do a PNG.
Oh, okay. Well, you said you couldn't open it before.
Yeah, I'd seen the PNG image next to the JPEG you sent, so it did download it. I just didn't know where it downloaded to.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
So I can do that.
You got it now, and you can.
Oh, okay, just like that. There we are. Mm-hmm.
I can put it up. Put them up there. God damn it on that thing.
There we go. Save to downloads. Downloading. Wait till you guys see this image of Andromeda that he got that night. I was blown away. Literally blown away by this image.
It really came out beautiful, didn't it?
Insane.
And keep in mind, this is a 20-second image.
Like, I have never seen Andromeda like a real picture of Andromeda that just amazing.
20 seconds?
That one would have been M31 stacked raw results. I'm guessing that's going to be the name of that one. And we got to shrink it down again.
Of course.
So
look, I give you these full size. What do you want?
Shrink it down. Shrink it down.
And the next is another one we got that same night, which you may not want, but you don't have to show it because it's a moon stream, not a Sky Tour live stream, so I understand that, of course.
Check out this image of Andromeda, people. Done from the Sky Tour Observatory by Mark
Sky Tour
himself.
live stream, yeah.
Tell me if that ain't absolutely gorgeous. Now, I'm going to take it off screen just because we're on the big scope. But, yeah, that, if anybody wants to see it again, I'm pretty sure we can post it up for anybody that wants it too, right? Of course. Okay. Let me take it off there. So, yeah, if you guys want that image, just let us know, and we'll have Mark put it somewhere where you could download it. It's a big picture.
Yeah.
But gorgeous. Look how detailed that is, man. Oh, man. I'm watching it again on the YouTube.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
Yeah. Heading right for us.
Yeah. But again,
around to see it.
It's actually got probably about 1 trillion stars, and we've only got about maybe 100 billion.
Oh, yeah, that's a biggie.
Yeah, it's definitely big. It's got a lot of gravitational potential.
Yeah. That picture, when he showed me that, I was just, it was one of those times where you just go, like, really? Like, I got a great picture of Andromeda last time. I'm like, okay, this is going to be, whatever. And then that popped up. I'm like, whoa. Like, that's an actual picture.
Yeah.
Not using one of these giant mountaintop telescopes. I mean, that's a picture of, what is yours, a 12-inch Meade?
10. It's only a 10.
10-inch Meade.
Yep.
Yeah, and everything had to fall in place, like the right air, and then you stacked it just right, and everything just turned out beautiful on it.
Leviathan, the Orion's belt is actually 3 stars above the nebula. The nebula is down below in the sword of Orion, and you have Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka in the belt. Pretty hot O stars, the very, very hottest. In fact, Alnitak is so young, the leftmost star in Orion's belt, that when Lucy was running around in Olduvai Gorge 4.2 million years ago, Australopithecus afarensis, Alnitak hadn't even formed yet. It only had 2 stars in the belt. So that's pretty interesting. And it's young. It's only going to last a few tens of millions of years, and then it's going to go supernova and go kaboosh. So will Betelgeuse. Orion will be very different in another couple million years. Wow, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at Aristarchus. It's even blown out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's either, get the plateau in nice detail or get the crater in nice detail and darken out the plateau. So it's like, but when it's really good and he's able to zoom in, you can actually get crater wall definition on the inside of that thing.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, I've seen it.
But tell me this doesn't look like somebody cut a square out and just put it here.
Well,
amazing area of the moon.
Yeah, but you keep in mind that when Aristarchus, you're right, it is. Keep in mind when Aristarchus was formed, a massive amount of material was sloughed out of the crater, and the bottom line, it was also hitting a plateau as it was. So a lot of that formed that shoulder on the crater. The ejecta from that impact caused a lot of that shoulder on the crater, but it was also a plateau before. Yeah. And that's kind of interesting.
And you sure it's not a Borg cube parking spot? There you go. He took the brightness down a little bit, so you can actually start seeing definition in the crater walls.
See that? Yeah.
The vertical. You'll see it popping up on YouTube here shortly.
Right. And that's Herschel right above it, correct? Mm-hmm. And we have the rill, which is that rill is a collapsed lava tubes running in between to make the grooves.
Too bad it's not more towards a pole, or Aristarchus would make a good place for a moon base with those collapsed lava tubes.
Well, no, Aristarchus can be just as viable for moon base these days as the pole.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they found that there's water in many of the soils on the moon, not just at the poles anymore.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And Justin T says, it's the Borg.
So I'm saying it's just like a big cube parking spot. That crater is not a meteor crater. It's a blast crater from them lifting off the surface.
No, it's a blast crater from the Enterprise blowing a hole in the corner, which is why it's there in the first place.
You know what? Didn't we try to start a conspiracy theory one night where we tried to convince people that
yes,
Schiller Crater was where Oumuamua took off from?
Yeah.
Or where Oumuamua was on the moon and then it took off from the moon?
Why, yes. In fact, yes.
We're like, people, right. That's how conspiracy theories get started. Because looks plausible, because they look exactly the same.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is Ares 1 Explorer telescope from Hobby Lobby good? I would not personally buy a telescope from Hobby Lobby myself, so I can't really speak to its quality. Unfortunately,
well, keep in mind that Hobby Lobby is going to sell telescopes that are cheaper from off brands. I'm familiar with Hobby Lobby quite a lot. Actually, some of my products were sold through Hobby Lobby for a while that I make here in the FX Models, which is my company. And they're generally very good. My particular products I was selling were very high end though, and so they didn't have a clientele that would buy them. And I was selling more on the side than they were selling through their catalogs and online. So I ended up just pulling it. But I would say that if you want to get a good telescope, I highly recommend, and it won't cost you an arm and a leg, I highly recommend you go to either OPT, okay, or Orion.
Orion makes good scopes. That's what our wide field is an Orion refractor.
Yeah, and I think that they're definitely worth looking into.
Mm-hmm. Agreed, and they're actually professional optics. They're not like plastic being passed off as glass.
And by the way, most important, when you're trying to figure something out, you're not going to be able to call Hobby Lobby and get them to help you with your telescope. Mm-hmm. Okay, you can call Orion, you can call OPT, and you will get help for your telescope.
Yep. Everything from collimation to just basic setup. And you can get from Orion, you can get really good refractors for a really good price.
Yeah.
You know.
No, Leviathan, you weren't scammed. Everybody starts somewhere.
Yep.
My first refractor was a 2.4-inch refractor from a company called Scope.
Yeah? You think that's bad? You know where my first refractor was from?
Sears.
Kmart.
Okay.
It worked. I mean, granted, you're not going to see nice crisp details with it, but, it zoom the moon kind of a little bit.
I'll tell you what I liked about that particular 2.4-inch refractor. That 2.4-inch refractor had an eyepiece. It wasn't a 1 1/4-inch eyepiece. They were there. There's either 2-inch, 1 1/4, or 0.965. Those are the three measurements for the three different types of sizes of eyepiece you could get. Mine was a 0.965. And the eyepiece that I could put in, I could actually turn the barrel and it would zoom. And I really, really liked that. That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, everybody starts somewhere.
And my telescope did not have a mount other than the rickety tripod. So I made one out of plumber's pipes. And I created what's called an equatorial mount using plumber's pipes.
Yeah, but weren't you the same kid running around your neighborhood bombing stuff?
No, that sounds so terrible.
That was you, wasn't it?
I wasn't bombing stuff.
You were making explosives.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Not
setting stuff on fire.
Not necessarily. By the way, David Schmidt, thank you for putting that Apollo video up there. That's very kind. That's a great addition.
Yeah.
Great addition.
Yes, once again, David.
That's a good thing to show people. Good job.
David Dixon. You can see the moon landing spots. You just can't see any detail. You're just too far away. It's too small of an area.
However, using the quick map that I mentioned earlier from LRO, Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter Quick Map, all one word, you can go and see the lunar landing sites. You can see the descent module sitting there on the moon. You can even see the flag in some cases from with its shadow. And in one particular case, you can actually see the flag itself because it caught the light just right. You can see the rover. You can see the ALSEP experiments. You can see the other experiments left on the moon. It's really cool. And I think it's pretty good to just go there and get lost for hours.
Yeah,
on this quick map browser. It's available online. It's free. And it's got literally about 1,000, no lie, about 1,000 different variations that you can look at the moon with. And you can see the North Pole, South Pole, front side, back side of the moon.
Think of it as Google Moon with extreme detail.
In fact, to even suggest it's Google Moon belittles it.
Yeah.
Because Google Moon is really, really lousy.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not the same. It's not the same.
I'm talking about operation-wise, like you can zoom in and skip around, and plus you have a whole bunch of tools that you can't use with Google.
You can actually You can actually draw a line across the moon and get the profile. So if you're interested in seeing how deep these craters are relative to each other, which is a question we often get, draw a line through the craters of interest and use the tool that shows you, and you'll see the depth of the crater. And do another one, and you'll say, "Wow, it's very different." They're all different. They're not. It's actually rare that the bottom is at the same location.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing too is that in SkyTour Livestream, we've gone over LRO Quick Map 2 times now. There was an original version and then a later version. When they came out with a new version, I did a new version tutorial so you can see what it looks like.
Yeah.
And how to use it. It's really, really cool, and it really offers everybody a great view of the moon.
Here comes Schiller Crater, where we said a moon was parked. Coming on the screen here shortly. That long, turd-looking crater there. But it looks like someplace the moon would be sitting. There you go.
Yeah, well, it was scraped out of the bottom of that crater. Remember?
Yeah.
It was assembled in orbit by the aliens, and then it was set loose to collide with our planet, but they miscalculated and they missed.
I'll tell you what. Let's see. We've been stalling for. Okay, so we're almost at. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take a break real quick. Everybody can take a pee break, and then we'll be back and see how long we want to go, and then we'll go from there. Does that sound good?
Whoop-de-doop-de. We have fun.
Like always. Like always. All right, yeah. So, yeah, guys, we will be back in about 3 to 5 minutes-ish, depending on if I want to get a snack or not. So, we'll figure it out. But we'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
Let me just answer Dr. Fox 2000. No, not been able to see the LRO while scoping the moon. The reason is it's small. It's so tiny relative to what we're seeing from the Earth-borne telescopes that Paul is using that we would never be able to see the LRO at its size. Okay? If you consider the smallest feature you can see on the moon, all right, right now, while looking at the moon, the smallest feature you can see is going to be just, can't identify one to look at, but it's going to be a very small diameter, probably looking at something that's a mile or 2 miles across minimum, with a telescope, and you're not gonna be able to see the LRO zipping through the path because the LRO is just a few feet across.
There you have it. All right, ladies and gents, we'll be right back.
We'll be right back after these words about your hair.
Hang tight. Getting us back up to here. So, okay, we're back live 1 p.m. case. I guess we should stop karaoke contesting, I guess. All right, there we go. All right, welcome back, everybody.
I am.
We had a break. We had a short karaoke contest. And we were looking at the moon. Now, as you saw, this is what we decided to have the last bit of our conversation about. I posted a topic so you guys would have a heads up. Is government space exploration versus the private sector. The pros and cons of each. Now, here's where we ask you, what do you guys think? The first person or the first people to inhabit the moon. This is known. I don't want to hear any conspiracy about like moon bases or people already being there. This is just as a future thing. Would you rather have it be a government or a country that has an operating moon base there, or would you rather be from the private sector, like say a SpaceX or a Blue Origin or even Richard Branson? Which one would you rather it be, and why? Like, what is your reasoning for it? What do you think the pros and cons are for each side of that argument? And Mark, I'll let you go ahead and give your assessment of that question first.
Well, it's interesting because, when we look at the moon now, there really is no one that can claim the moon. There is no place you can go and say, okay, I'm going to register my claim here for this particular crater on the moon. With the Chinese there, the Israelis, eventually the Indians there now, with potential the Russians, the Americans, Japanese. Many countries have reached the moon. Some have landed on the moon. And we've never really discussed what would happen if one country said, I own this part of the moon now. And it's like Antarctica. No country can own Antarctica. But one country can exploit Antarctica and take advantage of it. And there are countries down in Antarctica right now that are actually exploiting Antarctica for their own purposes and crossing the line on a daily basis. So that can happen. And with the moon, it's no different. It's just going to take a little longer for that to happen. Now, when we have guys like Elon Musk, if they're going to go to the moon, they're going to go for a financial reason. They're going to go because they know that there's a financial return on that investment.
The capitalistic effect.
Yeah, right, true. But the end result on the other end of that is that going to the moon becomes a mainstream capability that we have. So we would say, okay, that's a wonderful thing that we can do. We can do that now. And certainly Musk's going to the moon will become or will create rather an atmosphere where we will be able to go to the moon as private citizens as well, either by mounting a moon mission ourselves and taking advantage of cheap technology that will come along for sure that will allow us to do that. And just like we have the TSA that monitors what you can bring on an airplane, we will have another agency that will monitor what you're sending up into space. And we'll be able to go through them to launch our own space missions eventually. I see this coming. And this way, we will be able to go and, for instance, go and do a moon mission. Maybe someday we'll be able to say, hey, P&K's moon mission is underway. It'll be there in 4 days. Skytour Livestream's moon mission is going to head up after theirs, that kind of thing. I mean, it may happen sort of that way, not quite, but
right.
You got to keep in mind, any of the private companies that are going to go to the moon and reach the moon will have done so on the backs of, and if not with, the government agencies. Elon Musk could not launch a rocket without NASA. Not because they wouldn't give him permission, but because he could not launch a rocket without NASA. They did not have the knowledge. They took NASA employees and used them as consultants, and also took NASA data and used it to give them a leg up in the industry to get them to the moon.
Yep.
So you see, we're doing it hand in hand anyway, but it's a Muskian thing.
Right.
So it's going to be known as a SpaceX technology. You see?
Let's see what the people in the chat are saying. Let me go back up here. Brainius Balky said all the countries. Astro Live Channel said I'd rather it be both. Count Anu says private due to legalities. Astro Live also said could be divided up like the South Pole. Competition from Super Nazi says competition keeps everyone honest.
Except only if those that have the money can, see, that's the thing. Going to the moon requires lots and lots of money right now.
Yeah.
So those with the most money might end up with the most say.
Here is my take. The way I see it now, the way I see our world working now, I don't think there's a way we can do it without chartering the moon under the UN.
Yeah, that's right.
To basically, if say, countries decided, okay, we're going to go to the moon and it's for the good of humanity, we're going to put a base up there. You should make countries pay into that, based on their GDPs, percentage of their GDPs, no matter how small the nation, it doesn't matter. Just a percentage of their GDPs, they all give in to a UN, basically space force where everybody can work together. Russians, UK, they're all working for the same goal, and then have the UN have oversight over what goes on the moon, making it not being able to be claimed, making it a claim for humanity, not a claim for borders. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's probably the best way to do it. That way you can have private sector, you can have governments and everybody working together, no matter where those private sectors are from. They're putting in just the same, but give the private sector people incentive to put in on it, like minimal rights or something like that. And that's where a government or a UN body oversight would come into play. Does that make sense?
Sure.
I
think that's going to be, like we manage, managing worldwide resources goes through, international organizations,
right?
And the UN, and the moon is certainly qualifies for being one of the biggest international locations for another organization.
And not only that, it's the most strategic, military spot as well. Like you do not want you don't want to have a country having an individual right to the moon for military purposes.
You do not.
Whether it be Russia or the United States, it doesn't matter.
Hey, Lane, you were supposed to be going. You said you were going. It's okay. I understand understand that, Lane. He says, "Screw the UN." Well, you know what? I understand.
Yeah, I get that too. I totally understand the mentality.
Well. And we certainly get that. We don't mean the UN. I mean an organization that can oversee in a totally objective manner.
The UN is the closest thing we have to a body representing humanity, and not, individual countries per se.
Right. It has tons and tons of issues of its own, with no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. But even if something has to be created like the UN, that speaks for humanity and not for individual borders or nations or, governments or private sectors, one that speaks for all of us. You should have the same say in what goes on the moon, from Bob that works down at the hardware store should have the same say as, the NASA engineer putting the rocket there. They all should have the same amount, and whether it comes down to a democracy where you're putting things up for votes about what to do in certain areas of the moon and stuff, that might be the way we have to go in order for it to be fair. And, I don't know. It's very interesting. I mean, yes, you can let the private sector go crazy and they will make a hell of a lot of money. But then you start getting into private sectors becoming more powerful than governments, and then that's how you end up with dictatorships and all that other stuff, and then people claiming the moon. Next thing you know, it's King Elon, of
King Elon,
Mark
SpaceX,
or whatever. So
worship me, and I'll give you Starman.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to say something about. I think it's Ruth Cody. Her question or her comment was that we should be focusing on developing technology for crazy long distance space travel so we can find the distant planet or moon with a younger sun, just so we have a good backup when ours explodes. Actually, our sun won't explode, but I get the point. When our sun dies, yes. That's what space travel is actually all about, Ruth. And I do believe that when we look at all the possible locations we can go, they're many light years away. So either way, we have to develop interstellar travel regardless.
Right.
And that interstellar travel can't be one of these travel methods that puts us into like a hibernating sleep or something like that. The reason is because that will just take too long. We won't know if they got there. We won't be able to communicate with them. We won't be able to know. It'll take forever. It'll take many years to get a signal to them and then from them. So we need something that can get to and from in a much quicker way. And that's actually what NASA's working on now, believe it or not, Ruth. There's a technology called the Alcubierre drive that they're working on. And think of like folding up the corners of a piece of paper, and instead of going from corner to corner on the piece of paper, which is the long way that we currently have access available to us now.
Linear.
And yes, exactly, the linear distance and taking 12,000 years to get there at the fastest speed we can travel. Think of folding up the corners and going to corner and stepping across the tiny gap and then unfolding it. You've done the same thing in a much shorter time. That's what the Alcubierre drive does. And it was affectionately called the warp drive. And there's a variation of it that Sonny White down at EagleWorks Labs is actually working on called the Froning Alcubierre drive, which even has shields like in Star Trek, believe it or not, to avoid building up bugs on the windshield as you're traveling from star system to star system.
Yeah, and a speck of dust can be like an atom bomb.
It's correct. It can
wipe out an entire solar system.
You can, yeah. So this will avoid that.
Yeah.
So look, Ruth, that's a good question, and I know that someday when our sun does, in about 5 billion years, when our sun does start to go, we're going to have a way out. You're absolutely right, Ruth. And that was a wise comment you made, and I think that space travel is all about getting off our planet so that we can get further than our solar system eventually.
Yeah. And Soup Nazi says the moon would be a great garbage dump for spent plutonium. And let me tell you, if we're good enough to get plutonium to the moon, then we're good enough to get it in between the moon and just shoot it towards the sun.
Oh, actually, I've actually talked about the efficacy of using the sun as an incinerator.
Yeah.
The costs are quite literally astronomical to put something in an orbit that would do that. And number two, why not just drop plutonium, spend plutonium into a volcano, right? Because that would also do it. And the answer is that we don't have the ability to do any of this in a practical sense.
Not only that, but can you imagine like all the nail biting that'd be going on if you have a rocket full of plutonium rods or like cesium rods being launched into space just to get it up there? Okay, let's hope this thing doesn't explode.
Yeah, and I mean there's a concept that unfortunately no one in this chat is the pioneer of, and in fact it was done by a science fiction series in the 80s, I think, 70s and 80s, called Space 1999. They had spent fuel dumps on the moon, and those are the things that exploded and sent the moon out of orbit.
Great. Sure. Why not? My lord. But
no, I mean, I understand. I mean, these are all good comments, and that's actually another good one. Right now, we take our garbage and we bring it out on barges and dump it in the ocean. Okay, we're not supposed to. Other countries do it. Okay, and it's like, well, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there, right? And all the satellites that we bring down, intentionally, like the Iridium constellation of satellites and other satellites that come down, they're brought down as best as possible over the Southern Pacific and the Indian Ocean, and there's actually a satellite graveyard in those oceans where you can go and see the remains of satellites that are on the ocean floor, littering the ocean floor, because that's where all the things that come down that might have a little radioactivity in them or whatever go down. They sink down under deep, high pressure. There's no subs there. There's nothing to worry about. It's an agreed upon clear area, and they drop into the ocean at that point.
Yeah,
I would love to be on hand to watch when the ISS comes down eventually. I'd love to see that come down
in spectacular fashion.
Oh, that'd be spectacular. Those things would be impacting over an hour or 2 hours. They'd be coming down like meteors.
Right into the Pacific.
and the southern Indian Ocean,
Yeah.
right near MH370.
When
Yeah.
is that? That thing's due to be deorbited when?
Well, they said they have enough fuel to go into the mid 2020s at least, right?
Yeah.
And it really comes down to funding, actually.
Hmm.
You know, because they can always bring up more fuel.
So let's hope it continues to be funded.
Yeah, but it's reaching its lifetime and it's reaching its limit.
Yeah, and it's starting to get, it's starting to have problems with debris too.
Yeah, I mean, you can see some of the solar panels on the ISS have already had some damage, but it's still functional. Because not many people realize that the solar panels on the International Space Station make one full rotation every time the ISS goes around the Earth.
Yeah.
They make one full rotation because they're always facing the sun. And as the ISS goes around the Earth, the angle changes.
Hmm.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah. It's really kind of cool. The cupola is always facing the Earth.
The Cubiary Drive.
Alcubierre. Yeah, you can actually say it, El Cubier. It's the Alcubierre. by a guy named Miguel Alcubierre.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
look at this beautiful image right here on the screen. You can see our Aristarchus and Herschel to the left, and you see that vast plain of Maria that's there.
Yeah.
You know, that's just amazing. To think that was a flood basalt from a major impact. A flood basalt is one where an impact hits and the crater, that location is flooded with magma from inside. And when it comes to the surface, we call it lava, and it overspreads the region. You can even see in this image, you can see craters that impacted and were filled to their rims by lava that exuded from the impact site. You can see craters that were filled entirely, and just edges of rings. When you see little rings on the moon, those are the remains of craters that originally were real craters that were then filled later.
Yep. I'll tell you what, Mark, keep talking. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I got to run to the back door real quick.
So, figures now it's going black to me anyway. So, the bottom line is that we look at these craters and we look at the design of how these craters formed. As I said, they were simple and complex craters. The simple ones are bowl-shaped, and the complex craters have the central peaks and the rings that you might see in the center. And I'll tell you, it's really incredible that all these features will show on the moon. Even with a full moon, we can still see them. Now, when we look at the moon as we see it in this view, where it's sort of like a sort of wider view, one thing to understand is we're seeing all these dark gray areas and light gray areas. We call those the Maria that I told them about, the seas. But on the other side of the moon, these don't exist. They're not there. It's all craters everywhere. There's very little area where there's actually a sea. One is in Tsiolkovsky Crater, which is just around the edge that we can't see. It's on the right in this view. And then there's one called Mare Moscoviense, which is a little tiny sea in one crater. But the entire backside of the moon is pretty much craters only. Very, very different from the front side. Now, here is the result in terms of why that happened. Here's how that resulted. When the moon and the Earth were young, the Earth and the moon were being pelted by asteroids, many of which were probably released by the collision of the Mars-sized object which created the moon, hitting our Earth. And when they fell back to the moon, both Earth and moon were made into a molten object for quite a while. But as they cooled, the objects that continued to hit the moon would, of course, raise debris. And this debris would end up being subject to forces. Forces from the very, very large infrared radiation coming from the molten and semi-cooled Earth. not too far away. The moon was a lot closer to the Earth originally. And when that debris was raised up, it would be pushed by the radiation toward the limb of the moon and over the backside, where it would then fall and cool. And so the overall result over several billion years, was that the backside of the moon ended up thicker than the front side. A lot of the material deposited on the far side was from the front side originally, being blown away by these big impactors that you can actually see right now on the screen, the big circles of gray. Those impacts blew a lot of material up into the area around the moon. It didn't have an atmosphere. We call it an exosphere. And went to the backside. And when it went to the backside, it settled down. And thus the highest area on the moon is on the backside. And consequently, there was a large impact on the southern hemisphere, roughly the southern hemisphere of the backside. And that's called the A.K.A Basin. And the A.K.A Basin is the lowest spot on the moon. So the lowest spot on the moon and the highest spot on the moon are on the backside that we can't see. However, the lowest spot still doesn't have significant maria like who we see in the front. All right, it's all craters. So the moon, then, if you think about it, is kind of oblong. So the center of gravity of the moon is a little bit farther away from us than the center of the moon from here. It's actually toward the back side. That's that's ongoing research to figure out what's going on with that. Now, as far as the statements in the past you've heard that says the moon rang like a bell when impactors struck it, it doesn't mean it's hollow at all. In fact, it means quite the opposite. It means that it's nearly solid. It means that most of the moon has cooled. Unlike the Earth doesn't ring in the same way. However, the shock waves from Krakatoa did resonate and go around the world several times. All right, so effectively, so too did the Earth ring, so to speak. But it was only on the moon, it was only the fact that it was a nearly solid moon that it rang so well. If you want to understand that, in Pennsylvania, where Keith is from, there is the Ringing Stones State Park. You can go there, and they give you a hammer when you go in. Here, hit our rocks. And you go in and you hit them, these solid rocks, and they ring like little bells. It's incredible walking around there and hearing people going ding, 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 ding. It's like listening to like a natural pinball machine. Really cool. So when you talk about the moon ringing, it really is a misinterpretation of the data. It doesn't ring indicating it's hollow. It rings, so to speak, because the sound waves are very efficiently transmitted. If the moon was hollow, they wouldn't be efficiently transmitted. They might not get transmitted at all, actually, because it would go from a solid to some non-solid medium, maybe a vacuum, maybe some air of some kind, and then back to a solid. And that would be a problem. If it was a vacuum, then nothing would get transmitted. There's no hollow moon. There might be voids under the lunar surface. We know there are, based on the rills that we see. The rills are those sinuous little curves we see along the lunar surface, away from some craters. Those are lava tubes that have collapsed, and the tubes are hollow until they collapse. And in fact, it's lava tubes in which we think that we could actually be best suited to build a moon base, because underneath the moon's surface, we'd be protected from the ultraviolet radiation that strikes the moon and sterilizes it with cold efficiency. So that makes more sense for us to do. Anyway, I think that the front side and back side being thicker on the back than the front is something that I think is pretty clear now. If you have any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them. But I also would like to say that we also have areas like Aristarchus, which are very bright, and are there's areas that are very dark actually. And the material, some of the material under the moon's surface is in fact brighter, and some is darker. But you can see on this very shot, you can see where some of the material is reflecting light back quite efficiently, and some are not. But anyway, that's my take on all that. And if you have any other questions, let me know. Count Anu, you're saying you wouldn't need a landing strip to land the space shuttle on the moon. Why is that? You certainly would, because it's 1/6 the gravity. You might not need a one that's as long. Although you couldn't deploy the shuttle's parachute to slow it down. You'd certainly need a landing strip. The lunar modules descended with rockets vertically, little horizontal velocity, then some vertical velocity. But they were pretty good. But you would need a landing strip for the shuttle, because a shuttle, of course, without air wouldn't be flying. It would actually just fall because of gravity, and its wings would be useless without air. And you could use the space shuttle thrusters, but they would not be enough to slow it down. The space shuttle thrusters are not designed to be used in that way. But you know what? It'd be a clever little program to write to see if using the existing shuttle engines and thrusters, how bad your death would be hitting the moon. Because death is certainly going to come. You
holding her down?
Oh yeah, sorry. I was just talking about a few things. Not a big deal.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm done.
Oh, that's cool. Crazy stuff going on out back of my house.
Yeah, get those bears out of there.
Yeah. I have a random cat laying on my bed.
Hopefully it's yours.
Yeah.
Okay, Steve in Ireland. Would the moon's color be brown in our atmosphere / light? Well, we're seeing the moon in the color that it is, although it's a little bit yellowed. When I was flying back from Arizona the other night, the moon's color at 38,000 feet was absolutely bright white with gray, with some modeling of other color that it has. It has natural colors other than gray and white, in fact. And so that's the natural color of the moon, because the sun's light is actually white. It's nearly white. We say it's a yellow sun because that's how it appears in the sky, but in space, the sun is actually more of a whiter light. The atmosphere yellows and reddens all the light. When we see the sun, for instance, through a lot of light, like when it's setting, we know it's a red sunset. That's because the blue light from the sun is scattered during the day, whether it's up overhead at noon or on the horizon. The blue light is scattered, and that's why we have blue sky. The blue light goes in every direction, so it looks like it's blue everywhere. All right, but then when the sun sets, we're seeing it through more light, more of the blue light scattered than when it's overhead or on an angle to us. So the sun goes from being red at sunrise, reddish at sunrise, to a little more yellowy toward 11 o'clock, and finally it's going to be pretty yellowy white and it's above us, and then goes the other way and goes back toward being red at the sunset. Same is true of the moon. The moon's just reflecting sunlight. So we're talking about the moon when you're above most of the atmosphere in the Earth, like when I was flying. We are looking at for instance, the moon's light without the interference of most of the atmosphere. When you get above 25,000 feet, you're above more than half of the air on the entire Earth. That's kind of how I've been putting it to folks. So at 38,000 feet, it's even greater, and the moon just looks so starkly crisp and clear at that altitude, which is why observatories being on mountains are a good idea, right, Keith?
Yep.
So
there you have it. Well, looks like the clouds are getting a little thicker and more intense.
Stephen, I'm not sure what your question is. Are the minerals just that homogeneous? Okay. No, the minerals just that homogeneous to produce this gray. No, a lot's happened on the moon. The basic color of the universe and solar system is gray, and it has to do with the dust grains and materials that strike the planets. Gray happens to be the common color. It also has to do with some of the radiation and the way the radiation's interacted with the minerals on the surface. But the moon's color, it has orange soil, it has white soil, it has gray soil, brown soil. The Apollo astronauts actually saw orange soil on the moon, which is kind of interesting. So there are a lot of different colors there, but the predominant colors are the ones you see on the screen here. But even in this screen, I don't know, Keith, are you doing color right now?
Not overly, a little bit, but not a lot.
Could you exaggerate the color a little bit?
I can try as long as
Paul
has
stays.
it on. Yeah. Let's see.
When he exaggerates the color, guys, you'll actually see, and you gotta wait a few seconds for it to show up. But you gotta wait, and when you see how the color looks exaggerated, you'll see some of the colors coming through that are a little different. Now, we'll just wait for that.
It's coming. 30-second delay.
Yeah, I get you. So here they come. Okay, so here, what he's done here now, you can actually see some of the colors now. So this is a tasteful amount of color shift. You can actually see some browns. Near the left of center is a really good example. You see some dark gray, you see some light gray, you see some browns, you see some clouds. Okay, but you also see how there's actual color now in birds just going by. There's some color in the view, and the moon is not really just gray. The Chinese Chang 4 on the other side, the far side?
Yeah, the Changi 4.
Yeah, Changi 4.
This one has a little bit of green in it, a little too much green.
Yeah, that's okay, because it's not really meant to show that there's green there. You're throwing up some saturation, I think.
Yeah.
And you're getting, there's an issue on the limb of the moon and the sun, for that matter. There's an effect that could occur when you have that stark contrast with the black. And it will look like it's a different color than it really is.
Pretty.
Yeah, that's good. So anyway, you can see that there's different colors on the moon in this shot. You can see some nice beiges and different colors. So when he had it in color, you could actually see those. And that's kind of what the moon really does look like. Now, our eyes are not sensitive to the colors so much. So we think of the moon as gray. But it's just like looking at nebulae. Okay, like when he put up that image of the Veil Nebula before, which is that supernova remnant with that filamentary structure. If you're here for that, that filamentary structure looks white to your eye in the eyepiece of a telescope. But to the camera is not biased in that regard. The camera doesn't have rods and cones, where the cones, which receive color information, are shut down pretty much for night viewing, because we evolved to have night vision, and the rods are around the edge of the eye. So when we look away from an object, we see it looking brighter, actually, if it's faint. Those see in black and white, and the cones see in color, but the cones are near the center. So we don't get a beautiful ability to see color objects like we do. At most, you might see green. Our eyes are best tuned to see the color green, and that's odd because there are no green stars anywhere in the universe. But the fact of the matter is, the colors we see with the camera view are really the colors that are there, and they tell us a bunch of different things. So I think it's really interesting how this all works. And how the eye receives color and interprets color. Ruth, crap, bamboozled again. What do you mean bamboozled? Oh, maybe just because I mentioned how the green isn't really there. Well, sorry. That's funny.
Sorry, I got to keep on cutting in and out. I'm right back again. Sorry, Mark, I forgot to tell you. I gotta go back out again. I'll be right back.
Alrighty. He'll be back. So you guys, one thing you might want to do is there's another tool, one that I actually use within Skytour Livestream. And if you have not subscribed to Skytour Livestream, I really encourage you to do that. I'll put the link down below one more time. We actually, again, we look at the deep sky, and sometimes we actually look at some really cool applications that are available many times for free that you can play with, including one that's known as Space Engine. I would encourage you to check out Space Engine. Space Engine is really cool. It allows you to look at the full 3D universe, all the way out to major galaxy clusters and all the way down to our moon's craters, and just go cruising over planetary surfaces. I put a stream out there that uses Space Engine and shows all the many things that Space Engine can do, and it's really, really cool. Hello, Visit Crazy. I don't know actually where the Indian lander had landed, but as far as I remember, as far as I know, it wasn't guaranteed that it actually had collided with the moon and crashed. But I don't know what the latest update is. This was an update from this morning, so I'm not sure. If it's actually crashed or if it's actually been heard from. Oh, D. Smith, thank you. Yeah, it was fun to drive around with Space Engine, wasn't it? Okay, so incidentally, India does claim to have found the location where the lander landed on the surface, but they might have crashed. They found the lander, but they can't communicate with it yet, so it may have been a hard strike, which would be a bad idea. All right, and I'll be right back. I have to just go for 1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to end the stream just so I can get some stuff taken care of back to anybody still listening. So now you know. We're back tomorrow night.